Good morning, everyone. Mid-morning for some, afternoon for Linda Kay. She's over across the ocean. Earlier morning for those coming from Alaska, and really early if you're coming in from Hawaii. This morning, I'm going to start with a reading from this book, A More Ardent Fire. This is one of our yoga teacher training books that we read. And Eknath Easwaran is the author, and these are excerpts that he chose, a phrase from the Bhagavad Gita, and then he writes a commentary about it. So we'll have a short meditation, and then I'm going to read. And for those who have this book, I'm reading from pages 76, 77, 78. For those who don't know who Eknath Easwaran is, he can be discovered with a quick search on the internet too. So please take a comfortable seat, an upright seat. And rest your hands in your lap. And invite yourself to relax into your arrival here. Whatever the events of your morning have been, this is now a sanctuary, a place where you get to take refuge in your yoga practice, take refuge in the part of your heart that is most deeply wise, take refuge in the part of your mind that is most capable of clarity and insight. And we take refuge in each other's companionship on the path of yoga also. You'll bring your attention in to that which is most indwelling, which you already know to be most indwelling. Something that likely has visited you many times before, otherwise you wouldn't be sort of compelled to or magnetically drawn back to your yoga practice. So of course, every day we have small decisions to make, short-term decisions, long-term decisions. We have decisions that we make that change the course of the boat on the ocean. And this is what Eknath Easwaran had to say when asked a question about how to navigate decisions. He said, "Take a long view of everything. The ego is short-sighted. It can't see past the end of its nose, because it is all caught up in what it can get for itself right now. But when you pull back a little from short-term promises, you get a little detachment from yourself. Then you can look far down the chain of cause and the long actions, not only the result of the doer, but on others too. Once we get past our early 20s, for example, I think most of us will have singed our fingers often enough to conclude that a flame is likely to burn. Especially where pleasure is concerned, it can be helpful to ask simply, what does this promise and what has it actually delivered to the best of my knowledge? You can make a ledger and draw your own balance. He says this: 1 German chocolate cake, promise, gourmet ecstasy, delivered 15 minutes of gooey sweetness, followed by stomachache, surrealistic dreams, and 2 pounds of extra weight. It can help even with a powerful desire, but it's not simply enough to analyze on the surface. You have to look deep within yourself and take a long view to see the total picture, what it promised and what it actually gave, not simply the next day, but the week after, 2 years later, 10 years later. Then, remember the injunction of the previous verse, make me your only goal. Everything can be referred to that. Will this habit, this decision, will this deepen my meditation? Will it improve my concentration? Will it make my mind more even? Will it make me less self-centered? And if so, I will do it. And if not, I won't. Will this divide my attention, isolate me from others, make me more speeded up, activate an old memory or desire? If so, I won't do it, no matter how pleasant or how innocent it may seem. Keep these words in your heart. always in your mind. Pleasure is one thing, wisdom is another. The first leads to sorrow, though pleasant at the time. The latter, though at first unpleasant, leads to lasting joy. Pleasure is one thing, wisdom is another. The first leads to sorrow, though pleasant at the time. The latter, though at first unpleasant, leads to lasting joy. That's from a larger verse of his writings in this particular book. So you can consider it for yourself when you make decisions today. Will this deepen my practice, my capacity to love, my ability to concentrate? Will it isolate me from others? Will it cause distress or disturbance? What is the likely outcome of this action? So now we'll use our practice to help refine our understanding of ourselves so we can be really honest when we ask ourselves these questions. So please bring your hands together at your heart. So may we practice in a way that is protective, means it protects us from making poor decisions, for example. May we practice in a way that is nourishing. It allows us to be strengthened and refined and to have better understanding. May we practice vigorously with good energy when we need to. May this practice help us to overcome the habit patterns that lead us astray and to build the habit patterns that keep us clear. May we not feel impatient or succumb to animosity along the way. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavai Tejasvimnavaritamastu Ma vidvishavai. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavai Tejasvimnavaritamastu Ma vidvishavai. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavai Tejasvimnavaritamastu Ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, with your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. When you're ready to, you can release your hands. Please open your eyes. I have to do a little tech thing here. Stop screen sharing. Okay, spotlight. Here we are. Yay! We're good to go. Okay, we are going to come up to standing, and today we will be working quite a bit towards an experience of twisting and then towards an experience of pranayama. So please come up to standing. We're not going to twist right away because some of the people in the class just had their breakfast. They're in the yoga teacher training and they had a session already this morning. So I don't want them to have difficulty with their digestion. Did I get that okay, Susie? Oh, good. Thanks. Okay, please come up to standing. I'd like you to have your feet as wide as your yoga mat, a stance about like this. We did this warm-up practice yesterday. It's a way of getting more grounded and sort of feeling like the seat, your home, is established. So bend your knees, sit back into the hips and pelvis, and let the torso cascade down. Relax the weight of your head. Try to keep the knees as wide apart as the two toes. Second toe or third toe, you can decide between them. And then let the breath start filling out the back hemisphere of your body, because you remember the importance of the back body. With the exhale, you might give your body permission to sigh, to moan, even to yawn, if that's helpful to you to sort of work out the morning yayas for the mind and for the body. And then place your hands on your knees, please. Press down into both knees, both shins, both feet. Rise up to standing. Let's go toe, heel, toe out, and come down to the jazz dance warm-up pose. So when you come down, you can take a wide stance so that your shins are vertical to your heels. Press into both hands to stretch the inner thighs. Gently bow your head. Doesn't have to be too far down, but just so that you're and then across waist again. Sometimes I like to picture the inhale like a parachute, and that parachute gently expands the back hemisphere of the body. And on the exhale, like a gentle tone across the front belly. You can think of that as between your left hip bone, right hip bone, pubic bone, that little triangle. That region gets more toned as you complete your exhale. Begin to slightly roll your thighs externally. What that means is place a little bit more emphasis in the outer hips and your hamstrings, then press the knees out and put your body weight into your outer heels, pinky toes. The big toes will stay grounded. Just emphasize the out seam of each leg, please. And one more long, smooth breath cycle. Keeping the outer rotation of the legs is to help tone the pelvic floor during your exhale. Then press down into both heels. Slowly straighten both legs. Make your feet parallel, please. Through there. And when you come down, let's do it so like we did yesterday. You've got your foot, hand, foot, and it is a deep forward bend with flexion. This was our stance yesterday as well. This particular forward bend, of course, forward bends are flexion. Right now, your forward bend is more inward and downward. We are going to do a couple of variations on this pose. And I want you to be able to notice what the different sort of personalities are. And so right here, you can start applying that kind of decision-making that Eknath Easwaran was talking about. Even a small decision made during your practice, like to let the mind wander or to keep it focused. Look at both of your feet and press the big toes down, lift your inner arches, put a little bit of weight into the outer heels. Good. Now, keeping the out seam of your legs steady, walk your hands forward so that your downward dog becomes more expansive in the upper body and your prasarita padottanasana becomes more grounded in the lower body. Keeping the legs steady there, and now the breath smooth, what you can consider one of the most important decisions that you make consistently, repeatedly throughout the course of your practice is how to effort, what quality of effort to put into a certain action. So in this particular pose, you have like an array of efforts, a dedicated effort for the legs, for example. How much dedication do you need to maintain steadiness? a dedication to the smoothness of the breath in the body. If you over effort on that, smooth can become constricted or bumpy. An elegant effort for the arms to reach out without any sense of grasping for the distance to which you can reach. Now, as you next exhale, turn your right toes just slightly out, bend your right knee, and walk your hands down to the right side of your yoga mat. When you bend your right knee, imagine you're sitting back like on a little piano stool or a park bench. Please keep the left leg steady. So from your left inner arch, you can imagine up the inseam of your left leg to the inner thigh, there is a quality of strength and consistency. And though the legs are making a kind of dynamic effort, you can still ask, how much effort do your legs need to make so that you feel grounded, stable, and present? Keeping your pose down here to the right, walk only your left hand forward. Press down into your right heel. And if you have the balance for it, reach your right arm towards the wall behind you. And then press down into your right foot and bring yourself back to center. Now turn the left toes out slightly and bend your left knee and walk your hands down to the left side of your yoga mat. Look over at your right inner arch and lift up through the inseam of your right leg. Your body weight here goes back and down, so it should not be that your left knee is falling forward of the toes of your, right knee should not be coming forward of the toes. When you set your body weight into your heel, you want that to be the strongest place in your footprint right now. You walk the right hand forward, and if you have your balance and the left hip and heel feel stable, reach your left arm towards the wall behind you. And then exhale, press into your left heel and walk yourself back to center where both hands are stretched out. And then please bring your hands back to your hips, rise up to standing. Okay, so now we're going to practice as if we were Apollo Ono. We're getting ready for speed skating in the Olympics. So I want you to watch first. When we come down, that arm position that you were just using, we're going to be sweeping to the side like this. Of course, you can always use your hands. You do not need to go without the arms. You could keep your hands on the floor. And you can make the hands closer like I just did there. Or you can sweep them wider if you prefer. Okay, so the idea here is to warm up the legs, get some energy moving, put a little bit of heat in the body, but also to see what qualities of effort are needed. So come forward and let's begin to the right side first. And let's inhale to the right. Exhale left. Inhale right. Exhale left. So go with the pace of your breath cycle now, making the breath smooth. Invite the movements to be smooth. For the arms and the legs and your breath to synchronize. So some of your effort here does need to be dynamic, and some effort can be elegant. Listen to how you're working with the breath. One more time, go to your left side. And then bring that to center and come back down to foot, hand, foot in Prasarita Uttanasana. And notice what happens for your mind after a period of physical exertion. What happens to the quality of your mind? And then please shift your hands up to your hips, rise up to standing, and let's go heel toe, heel toe, heel toe until you're in mountain pose. Yeah, good. And let yourself stand really still. Notice the different temperatures in your body, the different zones of temperature or aliveness, circulation or effervescence. Okay, now we're going to practice. We're going to stay with the legs a little bit longer, not to worry. We'll get into the trunk and the twisting that I was talking about. And I do know that for many of you, you're building stamina right now because you're doing more yoga. You've told me that you're feeling stronger. You've told me that you're out hiking and walking. I've heard that you're riding your bike. So we're going to capitalize on that stamina right now. So these two blocks, I'm going to place them on the mat. They are in preparation mode. Okay, so for my right foot, for my left foot, the block is on a little bit of an angle. When you step up, so I'll put my right foot here, and then left foot is not going to be on that block. I want the left foot to be like in the jazz dance warm-up pose. So when you come down, yes, it's asymmetrical. There you are. I know it's asymmetrical can feel a little bit funny, but we are asymmetrical. We have our life events, we have our sports and our habits and things that we've done with the body. So check and see how asymmetrical feels. If you let yourself rock a little bit side to side, you may discover something about the upper inner thigh on one leg or the other. And I'm going to again encourage you to have the outer rotation of your thighs. It's called external rotation. So if you check right there at the outer hip bones, it's called the trochanter, and over to the sitting bone and the sacrum, I want that part of your hip to be toned right now. So you're not lax. We aren't simply giving in to the amount of flexibility your hip joint can offer. I want you also to have a sense of tone in the pelvic floor. Now the next time that you roll back to center, wherever that happens to be for you, left to right, then press down, rise up to standing. Right foot off of your block and put your left foot up on it. So now you're going to be asymmetrical on the other side. Okay. So come down. There's your jazz dance warm-up pose. For those of you who actually have scoliosis or you have asymmetries in your body like I do, I mean, maybe this feels now like it's neutral. Or maybe you're on the exaggerated side. This is the one where you really recognize that there's a difference for you, left hip to right or left rib cage to right rib cage, or shoulder to shoulder. Listen for how you inquire here. How are you being with your body? That is also a decision that you make. A short-term decision that has a long-term outcome. In this case, we can even see it in the microcosm of one yoga practice. How you make your efforts, how you speak with yourself, how you speak with your body, how you concentrate. We can have discoveries be something that we cherish and learn from. We do not need in any way to discover something in the body and then feel irritated about it. Okay, so roll that across again one more time and then find your center. Press into the outer thighs and outer heels and roll yourself up to standing. Step your left foot foot off of the block. And check and see what's happening in this sort of pelvic girdle, this whole region through here. Notice where there's varied temperatures in the body. Some places may feel cool, some places may feel warmer. Notice where there's aliveness or any place that feels like maybe a tinge of envy. It wants to also be that vibrant, but it hasn't yet been as addressed as the hips and legs have been. Now we're going to do one more thing here with the two blocks. So I'm going to ask you to put your right foot up on the block like the jazz dance warm-up pose. Step the left foot into the jazz dance warm-up pose position also. Come down for a moment, you know where you are. Okay, and then I'd like you to straighten like this. Also know where you are. Good. Check with your left foot that you could pick up your heel and put it back without running into something. And then place it back in. Okay, good. All right, so there you are. See if you can lean into your right hip and heel. Keep this leg steady. Pick up the left heel and swivel it and place the back of the heel down. Great, and then pick it up, swivel it back in, return. Good, let's try that again. Press into your right heel, your right shin. Pick up the left heel, swivel it back. Pick it up and swivel, find your place. Good, let's do that one more time. Now when you pick up this time, tone the right hip and notice when you're turning your femur, it changes the shape of the pelvic floor on the left side. Just in case you didn't catch that, let's bring it back in to the jazz dance warm-up pose. So you pick up the heel, rotate, and the pelvic floor on the left side is changing shape. Let's do it once more so you can give attention to it. So you pick up the left heel as you rotate, take it back. The pelvic floor changed shape. Now walk your hands back to your right thigh and hip. Aim yourself so that your thigh and your knee are really in line with your toes. Right? And bring your hips about to face in this direction. So if you really take notice between the two hemispheres of the pelvic floor, there are differences right now. They have different responsibilities. The hip bones have different responsibilities. The way some muscles are working is different than others. And then put your body weight, right hand to your right knee, put some weight into the right heel, pick up the left heel and pivot it. Notice the difference in the pelvic floor. Good job. All right, let's try the other side. So to do that, walk your left foot in and you can take the right foot off the block. Let's just take notice how the two legs feel. So like if you're a skateboarder or a surfer, you have one, or a snowboarder, I think you've got one, they say one goofy foot and one the other foot, and you probably have a sense of which one that is. And right now, if you had to go skateboarding or snowboarding, and that wasn't your particular preferred foot, you might feel kind of weird. Okay, let's do the other side. So left foot up on the block, step the right foot out, jazz dance warm-up pose. Good. Okay, so we're going to try the pivot. You put your weight into your left heel, left shin, left hand. Pick up the right heel and pivot back. Good, and then pick it up. Pivot it in. Jazz dance warm-up pose. Again. Breathe smoothly. If you hear something creaking on my microphone, it's the floor. It's the floorboards in my home. It's not me. I'm actually not creaking like that yet. I might creak someday, of course. Take it back, right heel. Notice the pelvic floor on the right side. And then pick up and rotate. Good. Okay, now let's do it again. Noticing the right hemisphere of the pelvic floor. There you are. Start aiming your hips towards your left knee. The left knee and the left toes can go together. Walk your hands back up towards your hips. And notice the two hemispheres of the pelvic floor. They're really different experiences. You might have also quite a difference from your right side to your left side. And then keeping a sense of tone in the base of the pelvis and how the legs collaborate with each other. Put your left hand on your left knee, press down, pick up the right heel, pivot in, and return. Okay, and let's go heel toe with the right, and step the left foot in and come back to mountain pose. And let yourself stand very still. Notice what's happening in your hips, your thighs. You can even inquire from the arches of your feet, up through the inseam of the legs, into the pelvic floor. And from there, as you stand upright, you can kind of stack the chakras, as I've been saying, up over the pelvic floor to the crown of your skull. Okay, let's take that goodness and place it into Surya Namaskar, the sun salutation. So you can bring both blocks up for Uttanasana. That is my preference for you, my recommendation. And part of the reason for that is that in Uttanasana itself, when you go down, you'll be able to press your hands into the blocks and make the exhale more toned. And another reason to use the blocks, if you have shorter hamstrings, it makes the floor closer. And so please bring your hands to your heart. Remember that even small decisions right now, in the moment-to-moment experience of your practice, it's influencing the outcome of your practice. And history and habit are often more powerful, so we have to be aware when that's kind of sneaking in or overriding. So come into your ujjayi breath. It makes this really cool little white noise, the whispering sound, between your intrusive thoughts and your clear mind and heart. And keeping that clear-heartedness, clear-mindedness, please inhale your hands down, wide and up. Lift your heart at the top of the inhale, look up. And then exhale down through Anjali Mudra to Uttanasana. Press into the two blocks and firm the low belly as you complete your exhale. Inhale, glide forward, rise up to your fingertips. Give yourself lots of space. Exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Again, inhale to glide forward. Elegant effort in the torso, dynamic effort in the legs. Exhale, left toes straight back for the crescent lunge. Inhale to rise, crescent lunge. Try to be curious as we stay for a few breath cycles, curious, how did the work with the legs influence what you're now experiencing with your stamina, with the architecture of your pose, with your capacity for breathing? And then ask yourself, is the mind more focused on the inner experience of your yoga when the arms are up and the gaze is up? Or more focused today when your arms are wide, gaze is forward? Or is today a day when you're more focused when the palms are together and your gaze is down over your fingers? Where does your mind become more united with your inner practice? And follow your next exhale to come over your right leg from whatever position you chose. Inhale your left foot forward and your heart forward. And then exhale, right toes back. Inhale to rise. Notice even how those standing practices and the jazz dance warm up, how has that influenced your now with us? What are you learning? And you can ask yourself, where is your mind the most united with your practice and your values, your breath and your heart? You could choose palms together, gazing over the fingers if you like. That increases tamas, or stability. You could have arms wide, gaze forward. Increases rajas, or mobilization of energy. You could have the arms up, gaze up. Increases sattva, a sense of life being larger than just us. And when you exhale, find your way down to touch the 2 blocks. Please put the blocks aside and step backwards to downward dog pose. When you reach back to your dog pose, notice its qualities, its overall tone this morning. What is happening as you find yourself in this very familiar pose, this kind of taking refuge, homecoming pose? And let's think of this seamlessly. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, we'll be going plank pose, chaturanga, back bend, plank pose, downward dog. Let's do this really seamlessly. So inhale, glide forward to plank. There's the end of your inhale, good. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, bhujangasana. Slide your heart forward, shoulders back. Good. Exhale, bow down. Curl the toes under. Inhale, push up, plank pose. Exhale, reach back, downward facing dog pose. So let's say that's like 1 lap around the track. Notice how it went. And then we're going to repeat that. Okay, so we inhale, glide forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, bowing forward, pranam. Curl your toes under. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Notice the quality of your mind by the efforts and the actions that you have been contributing to. And as you next inhale, raise your right leg high, Ekapada, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then stack your hips over your standing leg. When you stack, notice any ease that you might discover from your left inner arch up the inseam of your left thigh. Any greater ease from the jazz dance warm-up sequence, maybe greater than you would have had yesterday or on different days of doing this particular pose. And then exhale, level your hips, please, and step your right foot forward between your hands. Okay, reach for your 2 blocks. Press into your fingertips and straighten both legs. Great, now keeping the right leg forward. This is similar to part of yesterday's practice. I'd like you to take your left heel to the floor behind you. So it's lined up with your right heel this morning. Take a look back at that. And then place your right hand on your left block and begin rotating your pelvis to this variation on triangle pose. And as you're twisting, the purpose of moving your right hand across the mat like that, I would like you to try stacking your right wrist and then your right shoulder. And imagine the twist of the torso that your left shoulder can stack over your right. And then raise your left arm up to triangle pose. The legs remained in triangle pose too. And that means that if you look down at your right kneecap, it's in line with your second or third toe. Yes, the torso is on a little diagonal here in the pose, not directly over the right thigh. So now wrap your left arm around behind your mid-back and the small of your back, and weave your left hand across your right thigh if it reaches. Not all fingers or arms are long enough for that. And if it reaches, great. If it doesn't, you can hold your clothing or you can make up a variation. And then bend your right knee. Keep the upper body twisting to your left. And then when you exhale, release to place your left hand on your right block, right hand back to its own block. And let's step backwards to downward dog pose and put the blocks aside so that you have both hands firmly on the floor, because we are going to do one-legged dog pose and it's more stable on the floor than it is on the blocks. And take notice how it feels. You know, that last pose, it's got asymmetries to it. It has different quadrants that are really alive and some that are supporting. So what's happening now in your body? And how are you with the inner conversation with yourself? And then keeping your right leg stable, please lift your left leg high, one-legged dog pose, and stack over your right thigh. In that stacking, notice any greater clarity or ease or stability from your right inner arch up the inseam of your right leg. And then when you exhale, level your hips and bring your left foot forward between your hands. Bring the blocks into view so you can place your fingertips on them. Please straighten both legs. Turn your right heel down on the mat. So if you look at your two heels, they're lined up as if you were on the balance beam, and both heels are on the balance beam. Bring your left hand over to your right block. Root your tailbone so the pelvis is stable. We are not moving the legs about. You can give a quick check that your left knee lines up with your second or third toe. And then begin twisting by stacking your left wrist over your fingers, left elbow over your wrist, left shoulder over your left elbow. Turn your heart and stack your right shoulder over your left. And then you might choose to raise your right arm and sense the space you can make between your left fingertips and your right fingertips. That is a space that you can visualize from the inside, like a horizon in life, like the wings of a great bird. Let the breath that's breathing you fill out the space that you're imagining from within. And then wrap the right arm around behind you, and only if appropriate, your fingers can reach to hold the top of your left thigh. And then you can bend the left knee. Not everybody will reach. On this side, I don't reach. On the other side, I do. Try keeping the left knee straight on with the second and third toe. Leg steady as you twist your chest and heart to your right. Keep the tailbone rooted and the outer left hip muscles. Remember the deep six muscles. They are toned and strong right now. And as you exhale, bring your right hand down to your left block, left hand to its left block, and pivot the right heel up and step forward. Come Come into Uttanasana, a pose of symmetry. And let's inhale. Raise up to the horizon and then up overhead. And exhale, come down to your heart. And then please step down to a blanket or come down to sit and say, I'd like you to have a folded blanket. I have a rolled blanket here for a different purpose. Let's take a folded blanket to sit on, please. Make the seat that is most comfortably yours. Some of you heard me say this. I sit up on my blanket and then I like to roll down like that. It's a personal preference. You don't have to do it the way the teacher does it. Just sharing ideas. Yeah. So take your seat, rest your hands out over your knees like this. I am actually requesting that, though, I should say, because it makes a pyramid shape for the body, and I want this to be spacious, not to be blocked, and for right now, not to be closed in any way. Invite your mind and your body to come back into this central channel. It's also called Sushumna. We are about to do a twisting practice, and I want you to have a sense of this inner channel before twisting. So bring your attention down into the pelvis, into the pelvic bowl, and to the base of the pelvis, like a canoe shape, the pelvic floor. And try to sense from there you're stacking, at least energetically, and then structurally, you're stacking over the center of the pelvic floor. Imagine that stacking, that there is a lift, particularly the heart, and then through the upper palate, and then to the crown of your skull. Now for the first twist, we're going to keep this spacious. So because I'm sitting up on a tiny blanket and I don't have long arms, I do use my block to raise the floor behind me. You may do the same. You're going to cross the left hand to the right knee and the right hand behind, and keep it spacious, like you have these, tent poles, as it were. And you're going to twist to your right. And see if you can sense in turning to the twist, like you've turned each vertebrae a bit. Some rotate more than others, of course. The lumbar spine is not meant for that much rotation, but you can also sense like the turning of the energetic orbs of the chakras, that this energy can kind of spiral upwards in your twist. When your body greets you with or provides you with another nuance or sensation, notice how you receive that. What is the attitude you bring to your body? And the decision on that attitude will make a difference in the outcome of your yoga practice. And then exhale around to center. Let's keep it spacious. Notice what happens in the unwinding back to center. And cross your right hand to your left knee, and you can take the other block with you. When you're rotating to your left, you have to notice that for some of us, body proportions, rotation, there's these little nuances or differences, like how easily does the right hand find the left knee? Might have been easier to go to the other side if your thoracic spine has a rotation in that direction. This could be your easier side. We just notice the differences, and let's practice in such a way as those are revealed to us for the purpose of learning, not for the purpose of any kind of irritation with the body. And take your gaze over your left shoulder, or eyes closed if you like. The twists do soak and squeeze, and they unwind tensions in the body. So take another deep breath. And then exhale, bring this one around to center, hands still out wide like this. And now we're going to add a more compressive twist, and it also has a side bend. So this one, similar to being on the asymmetrical blocks before, you might find that your body has some asymmetries in the upper right quadrant, upper left quadrant, lower right and lower left. So it might be helpful to watch, because I don't have long arms. So when I place my hand here, I'm going to put my right hand on my left wrist to help secure my left hand to stay. So if I take my hand around, and the idea is that you're going to take it around the outside of your thigh close to your pelvis, and I place my right hand there to keep that kind of fixed, so that the side bend is going to be to my left and the twist is to the right. When I hold my left wrist there, it does stay better and causes less difficulty until I get to a certain place in the pose where I feel like, oh, it's going to stay on its own. So you're going to do the same. You wrap the left outer wrist around your right outer thigh. Keep it snug to your torso, whatever that means for you. We are side bending. So the left shoulder is coming down towards the left knee and also twisting to the right. You may then decide to float your right arm up, and maybe it goes overhead, but there will be choices to make there. When you take the right arm overhead, it's going to add weight, and it's going to change the dynamic of the side bend. So listen for that to check and see if that's what your body we'll be able to stay in equanimity and unity with. And you can look for variations on that. The place that I could be. And then you can use an exhale breath to bring yourself upright and rotate back to the spacious experience like this. And just try to notice, okay, what are your experiences now? Like, I feel like you're hallucinating. This is happening, that is happening. It's the world is wavy like a circus mirror. It's going to settle out, I promise. And then let's do the other side of the twist. So take the back of your right hand around the outside of your left thigh. If possible, you can straighten your right elbow, but don't hyperextend it. Place your left hand on your right wrist to give it some staying power as you side bend to your right. That means that your right shoulder is getting a little heavier towards your right knee. And in your side bend, there's a little twist to the left for the upper torso and heart. You might realize there's a place where you arrive and that the right wrist will stay on its own, and that you have the chance to raise your left arm and explore. It is going to change the dynamic in your pose, so listen in your body for what feels right. And then using an exhale and an exit pathway that feels nourishing and stabilizing for you, please bring yourself upright and place your hands once more wide out over your knees. Tejasvina Varitamastu. Tejasvina Varitamastu. May the practice help us to overcome the habits of mind that lead to the downward spiral, and to raise up the qualities of mind and heart that bring clarity and wisdom. And we're going to take a short visit in bridge pose on our way to Shavasana. I want to leave time at the end of this class for Pranayama, and I'd like your bodies to be really restful when we get to the Pranayama. So what we're going to do is actually more like a sacral reset with the two blocks in bridge pose. So I will show, and then you can decide how you'd like your Shavasana to be. So when you come down, just in case you haven't been seeing this, we've been doing it for the last maybe 10 days or so. The two blocks are going to make a triangle like this. And the tip of the triangle goes at the tailbone, and the sacrum will be between those two blocks. And the blocks are this morning on the medium setting like this. So you place them to the sides of your hips, lift the hips up, scooch the blocks under, so that you're in a supported bridge pose. Yeah, like this. Hopefully the contrasting color that you can see makes the blocks stand out here, or you can see them under my pelvis. Now I'd like you to tuck the shoulder blades under, so that is like bridge pose, and then pick up the knees, please. Just try to check and see what is happening here. If possible, you can find the place where just as you bring the knees towards the chest, you sense, oh, the pelvic floor is like a mirror shining towards you, towards your head, but also like a mirror shining towards the space beyond you. In my case, towards the door of this yoga room. So in other words, it's neither a posterior tilt nor an anterior tilt. And I'd like you to keep that orientation for the pelvis and just hover the knees and thighs back to vertical. So if you feel like you have to make a little effort in the low belly, that's true. You probably are doing that. And let the sacrum kind of levitate between the two blocks. For anybody who would like, and your hamstrings are like a zero issue, as they are for me. It's partly my genetics, not all this yoga. You could take the legs up to vertical. But still, the pelvic floor and the ilium bones, they maintain that alignment. So you're neither in a big posterior tilt nor an anterior tilt, not even really in a subtle one way or the other, but neutral. Now slide your right knee down towards your chest. Keep the pelvis neutral if you can. And take the left leg straight forward. Check in with your left psoas. How is it doing? And then take that back up. If you had a straight leg, you can use that. If you had a bent leg, you can use that. And then left knee towards the chest. Pelvis still neutral. Take the right leg out. There you go. Very good. Check in with your right psoas. And then raise that back up. If you had your legs bent, you're doing it with the legs bent. If you had them straight, you can go up to straight. And then whether the knees are bent or straight, touch your feet down to a supported bridge pose. Lift your hips, put the blocks on the flat setting now, and lower down. So what you have now is that the back of the trochanter bones are against the beveled edge of the block. Right there. Yeah. Roll the knees in and out like a little massage to this part of the body. Maybe it feels tender. It's okay. And then let that become knees to chest pose. Slide your blocks out. And decide on your preferred shavasana. If you like something under the knees or you want to go straight away to like a starfish position, that's fine too. So really important now that your body gets to reset, because I want to have this pranayama practice with your most clear inner ecology. Yeah. Good. So you set yourselves into the shavasana that's nourishing for you. Then you can close your eyes. And deeply relax the space between your eyebrows. Invite the forehead to be really smooth. And allow the smoothness of the forehead and the softness between the eyebrows to flow outwards over the eyebrows and to your temples. Let the eyes themselves turn inward, like beautiful curtains temporarily drawn over the windows. So you go inside. From the bridge of your nose, release the muscles of your cheeks and let them melt down towards your ears. And go deeply from the front of your face towards the middle of your head, towards the back of your head. So let your brain also rest. And relax your tongue, let it be deeply heavy. The lower jaw and release from the upper jaw. In that release, invite the base of your brain to recognize we are right now resting and digesting. We are tending and befriending. We are turning inwards. And let that message flow downstream now through your throat and your neck and into the collarbones, shoulder blades, your heart, your lungs, upper torso, upper arms, to the mid-torso, forearms, lower torso, hips and pelvis, and down to your thighs and knees, and calves and heels. Allow yourself to very deeply rest. Your body is integrating, assimilating, and cleansing. few moments, just welcome a little more awareness of yourself, the physicality of the present moment, what we call the time-space continuum. And you can slightly deepen your breathing. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, please. When you're ready to, please thoughtfully rise up to take a seat that you can use for pranayama, which will also be a seat for meditation. I'm going to recommend that some of you have a couple of blocks in front of you for when you come forward like this. And what you can do is test drive where you need that to be, at what height you need that to be. It's not important that you get your head all the way to the floor. It is important that you have some support for your head there. And then just come to sit. We're going to get ready for pranayama by being mentally as quiet as possible. So our first pranayama, we're going to use the ujjayi inhale. We'll do low third, middle third, upper third. At the top of the inhale, we're going to use the sound hum, H-U-M. The U sound, you want to have a sense that the back of the throat is quite hollow. And the M sound, the lips come between the teeth, and the upper palate and the throat both get hollow and bigger like this. I guess like a cobra opening. So I'm going to ask you to watch me once here. When I go all the way to the M sound, the M sound, the M sound, my head will be on the blocks. I've squeezed the belly to release the hum, and then I'm going to relax the belly completely and let the inhale come. And I'll come back up to the sitting. So it looks like this. Here's the inhale to start. This is an ujjayi inhale. So I go down to the M sound, M, 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 the hum sound. And then at the end, I squeeze the belly and then I just let everything open to the inhale, like the mouth, the nose, the body, like a little blossom of a breath came in and I used my exhale to push back up. Let's try that a couple of times, please. So hands out over your knees. Place the tip of your tongue behind the top two teeth. Make the back of the throat hollow. Let's inhale together. Hum. Release the belly, allow the inhale. Hands to the knees if you like, and exhale, press back up to sitting. Inhale, ujjayi breath. Hum.
squeeze the belly, then release. Allow the inhale to blossom into the body. And exhale, push up to sitting. Once more, inhale. Hum. And exhale, press back up to sitting. Now bring your right hand up. We're going to practice nadi shodhana. So the right thumb will close the right nostril completely. The left nostril can be open all the way if this is a new practice for you, or you're more comfortable with it being fully open. Or you can have it partly open, partly closed. We're going to inhale, exhale so they're equal to each other, please. And let the pauses in the breath also equal each other. So your pace might be inhale 8, pause for 2, exhale 8, pause for 2. The exhale is sort of stewarded by, chaperoned by the deep low belly, where you have some tone and then increasing tone. And then you release the tone of the exhale to very smoothly inhale. And the in-breath sort of fountains upwards through the body, finding its way up to lift the heart, the sternum, and the collarbones from underneath. Please practice at your own pace, keeping it steady and consistent. One more exhale, left nostril. At the end of that left nostril exhale, rest your hands in your lap. Invite your mind and your body to be very still. Over the next few moments in this meditation, let your attention return to the plumb line. And then bring your hands together at your heart. So may this practice help us to know the real from the unreal, the truth from the non-truth. May we understand that which pulls us downward, that which brings us into clarity, that which is finite, that which is infinite. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorama Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.